where secrets lie in the border fires and the humming wires. Yeah, man, you know you're never coming back. Across the square, across the bridge, past the mills, past the stacks. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.
It's like barely inching towards, total corruption and obedience.
They did this on purpose because they are Satanists.
This really did happen. They're in with these bankers and former presidents, and they're dressed like druids.
Yes.
And some guy brings over something that it's an effigy that's supposed to be a body, and then they drop it on the fire, and they're all worshiping an owl god.
Ceremony with the cremation of care? Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to...
It's a great horror that most people don't want to speak about.
This huge stone obelisk that's carved, and somehow or another they got it and had it stand up.
Culture from a heteronormative society into one where anything goes, no boundaries, no values, no morals. It's a hedonistic cult, basically, what they're implying.
This is fucking dumb and gay.
You were both in Skull and Bone, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America?
At BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors. If you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted, okay? You have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities. We're going to have to force change.
They're pretty much running everything.
Yeah.
S&P 500, the number that 88% of the companies on S&P 500, 88% of them, the largest shareholder of those companies is either State Street, BlackRock, or Vanguard. 88% of them.
It's not just Diddy, it's like BlackRock and Vanguard. They actually own the music industry and control the music.
Wait. The investment houses of BlackRock and Vanguard, they own the music industry?
Absolutely. From Sony Music Group, they're the most invested in the music industry. They're the most, through Viacom, they own BET, MTV, VH1. They're in control of the music industry. And they also own the overwhelming majority of stock in the private prison industry.
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prison. Not about making somebody write the lyric. It's about being there as guardrail to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't.
Imagine a faceless government bureaucrat having the ability to not just monitor your finances, but approve or cancel any transaction. That's what would happen with the central bank digital currency, or CBDC. It's essentially a government-run cryptocurrency, and like most government-run things, it's pretty terrible. It allows the government to not only see how you are earning, spending, and even donating all your money, but because all transactions have to go through the government has the ability to approve or decline anything. So if you want to donate money to an institution like the Heritage Foundation, the government can tell you no. If you want to buy firearms, the government can tell you, sorry, you have enough of those. We already have a problem in this country with people getting canceled for perfectly legal activities. The last thing we want is for the government to have more control, more power, and the ability to veto constitutional activity. If you want to protect not just your financial freedom, but your financial privacy too, then CBDCs need to be banned in all forms.
When you in this business, right, and you got talent, they want you because you got influence. The devil's job is to get as many souls as possible So if you got the potential to be influential, they want you, not because you're talent, because they could use you as a tool to push their agenda.
Nixon never gave the country a proper farewell, but when asked what his final message to the nation would have been, he said this.
I would warn against the media elitist complex. You know, the media is always talking about the imperial presidency, the power of the imperial presidency. I think we ought to hear a little bit of discussion of the imperial media and its power. You see, presidential power is limited by the courts, limited by the Congress. The media's power is unlimited. They can tell an untruth, print an untruth, which some of them consciously do, if it's going to sell newspapers or what have you, or win a prize.
Why do 90% of history books tell the same story? Because the winners get to write them. Napoleon once said, "What is history but a fable agreed upon?"
That's also, of course, true with COVID, right? We are all only as healthy as our neighbor is on our street, in our city, in our region, in our nation, and globally. And did we solve that? Like, did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. You know, climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably other times?
Now, there it is, the gay bomb. Look it up for yourself. I mean, this is what do you think tap water is? It's a gay bomb, baby. And I'm not saying people didn't naturally have homosexual feelings. I'm not even getting into it. Quite frankly, I mean, give me a break. You think I am like, shocked by it, so I'm up here bashing it because I don't like gay people? I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that?
My name is Emily, and my biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections that are continuously peppered on us every day. Bromium, aluminum, strontium, it's sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be one of the experts in the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we stop it?
That is not happening in my agency. You know, we don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA. And a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Yes,
so,
sir.
you know, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable.
Yes, sir.
Turns out that, you know, the vaccines were developed not by Moderna and Pfizer. They were developed by NIH. They're owned, the patents are owned 50% by NIH. Nor were they manufactured by Pfizer or by Moderna. They were manufactured by military contractors. And basically, Pfizer and Moderna were paid to put their stamps on those vaccines as if they came from the pharmaceutical industry. But, you know, that's not what they were doing. They were coming from, you know, this was a military project from the beginning.
I would not intentionally spray my children or family with toxic aerosols, but as you must know, 80% or better do not have any family or children. Indigo pilots are chosen from the top ranks within the Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard. Most of the pilots are, quote, hardened to humanity, unquote, and could care less about killing off unwanted or leeching aspects of America and the world. I swear to you, the majority of the pilots are like machines. I call them tanker terminators. We are paid more than any other pilot for our service, other than Air Force One pilots who make as much or more and are kept in a dark secret world for their own protection.
9230. Delta 1692, Albuquerque, safe speed. 79. Delta 6200, Mark 30. Albuquerque, Falcon 204, Charlie Whiskey 390.
We meet for the 20th. I hope I will have the pleasure still to be invited for the meeting. When we meet for the 20th Governance Summit, you will use the app like Uber, but not anymore to call some driver, but automatically guided car, a self-driven car, will come to your hotel or wherever you are and will bring you to the airport. No, Los Angeles is one of the cities with the heaviest traffic, who told me in 2030 Los Angeles will be private car driven free. And this will allow to transform highways into parks.
What happens if someone ultimately does get a Neuralink installed? What will take place?
So you basically take out a chunk of skull, put the Neuralink device in there that has a battery and a Bluetooth and an inductive charger. Insert the electrodes. So the electrodes are very carefully inserted, avoiding any veins or arteries. You stitch up the hole and you just have like a little scar, and that's it. And you wouldn't even know that somebody has it. It could, in principle, fix almost anything that is wrong with the brain. You could also save state. And
save state?
Save state, like save your brain state, like a saved game in a video game.
Whoa.
And restore that state into a biological being if you wanted to in the future. In principle, there's like nothing like from a physics standpoint that prevents us. Now you'd be a little different, but then you're also a little different when you wake up in the morning from yesterday.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains?
Dans ce nouveau monde, on doit accepter une transparence, et je dirais même une transparence totale. Le secret bancaire. Tout va être transparent. Et il faut s'habituer, il faut se comporter ainsi. Ça devient, comment dirais-je, intégré dans votre personnalité, mais si on n'a rien à cacher, il ne faut pas avoir peur.